Lord even set up better in going into the set than against Lutifron.
Well, we'll just have to see if VortiX can prove himself better than his bro, if he can overcome the demon, which Lucifron could not, as we are ready to get underway with this best of 7 between VortiX and MarineLorD.
And now I'm really curious. Pesty just said, great news announced today after the set.
We don't
And
even
I
know.
actually, I don't know. This has to be really, like, if he keeps those secrets from me, they have to be really special. It has to be big. It has to be big. Some people now tuning in. Wham against the Muslim. What's happened there? Wham, Puppy Paw having some internet issues. Apparently very bad weather on their end. And luckily, we have VortiX and MarineLorD filling in. They were typically or initially scheduled to play the Sunday set. Now jumping in here. Scenario, as you all know, VortiX trying to improve his placement in the group, and MarineLorD already guaranteed to be in the semifinals, trying to secure spot number 1 for himself.
Yeah, MarineLorD, he saw the connection issues, he put on his sunglasses, he switched on the I Need a Hero soundtrack, and then he typed over to Pesty, I'll play. What a round of applause for these two lads. Just last second, weren't expecting it at all. They're probably just chilling, watching the games. Like, oh, okay, I want the show to go on. And that's what I love. Really big shout out to the players. Like, they're community driven. They interact with us. You can kind of feel that this is still very much a kind of a group of tight-knit people, right? They're willing to go out their ways to assist each other. Whereas, you know, I've seen situations where a player will just outright refuse. They're like, no, it's not the scheduled time. I don't care. I'm not doing it right now. I'm getting my suntan on, all right? I need some lotion rubbed in. You're not going to come around and do that, so I need my calm time. So really big shout out to VortiX and MarineLorD for being willing to play their game super last second for us. And I think it's going to be a hype series. And it's a fun way to open up with a French mirror matchup. I think definitely in the top 3 most interesting mirror matchups to watch.
French, yeah. Very aggressive. Obviously, Royal Knights can find so many villager kills. You have to be so much on your toes. And it feels like the army composition is a bit of a question mark as well, right? Because Spearmen are so good against the Royal Knights. Then you want to add some archers. And archers obviously getting countered by Royal Knights again. So we sometimes see the 1-1-1 approach. Some people only want to go for 2 different buildings. And I don't think it's 100% figured out what the best feudal approach in this matchup is.
No, I mean, I think School Cavalry is still like just the go-to de facto, especially with Chamber of Commerce still being dysfunctional, right? It's meant to give 30% increased resource return. I think it still doesn't work for gold, if I recall correctly, so trade doesn't even feel like an option. And it feels like in a mirror matchup, like School of Cavalry offers you a 1-up that you can't refuse. It's not just the fact it's instantly stable, it's the fact that it permanently decreases the production time of your units, of your cavalry units, by 20%. That is a ridiculous advantage that you just cannot neglect in a mirror matchup.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Also, like, well, if you don't really have a great option as a second landmark, you're not really inclined to go for it either. Scout now could come over there. Sheep actually not being dropped off, a bit of a misclick. Now drops off the remaining gold here, MarineLorD. Neither player went for wheelbarrow yet. Obviously could have also been an approach. Like wheelbarrow, now we see that from MarineLorD.
Yes.
And maybe then flirting with the second town center with maybe a spearman defense.
This is an interesting differential. VortiX plays this very similar to Lucifron. Both of them prefer to get wheelbarrow instantly after the tech up. I'm more of a fan of what MarineLorD is doing. I think the timing lining up with your tech up is actually very advantageous. And I've watched this play out between players who get wheelbarrow first and then tech up versus ones that do it midway. You tend to get a bigger yield of resources in the coming 2 to 3 minutes with the approach MarineLorD's taking. So I think this will be putting him slightly economically ahead. It might, however, put him behind by 10 seconds on his first night.
Okay, well, if you stay defensively, that's something you can absolutely afford, especially if you feel like, okay, in the long run, I will be able to get the 5th night out a bit faster in exchange there. Just important that you don't fall behind too much and won't lose any villagers. Now, even the 4th villager being pulled at like 90% to not fall too far behind in the School of Cavalry. Seems like very similar timings.
Yeah, I felt like he was getting a little bit paranoid about that. I think he just scouted in. He's like, definitely don't want to be behind at all. He's going to match him piece for piece here. And of course, his wheelbarrow is going to complete first, which should put him a little bit ahead of VortiX. The question mark is going to be who's going to blink first, right? Who's going to look at the stone and say, that does look pretty good.
Oh, look at that one. I know what looks good. It's the barracks out of MarineLorD here, apparently.
Oh.
And that's going to be an interesting approach.
Oh.
Is that maybe Spearman defense and Royal Knight raid? It clearly indicates no second TC for quite some time.
It still could be a second TC, possibly, based on where his stone is, though, right? Because his stone is very far out, so he might feel a need to have spears to even reach it. But I think it definitely makes more sense to try and raid first. Because if you look at the comparative, I do feel like VortiX got a slightly better spawn in terms of his stone at the backside, whereas MarineLorD's back stone is really far out. Like, it's so far out of range that if you ran villagers out there and a knight shows up, you're going to lose 2 or 3 over time.
Yeah, you kind of even need to wall in your resources, not really a thing. Maybe an outpost, but that also costs another 100 wood. And you kind of, well, losing efficiency of your 25 wood saved for every mining camp. Now the first Royal Knight coming in from VortiX. And I don't think we have too much protection. Could be a kill.
Uh-oh. Yep, going to react too late. Charge in. And slaps him down. Remember the blacksmith? It was complete by VortiX, hence why he's able to 2-tap these villagers. Just run away.
Okay. Pays off indeed. Spearman chased that one away.
Yeah, that was really good timing. Yeah. I think his blacksmith was complete as he was wrapping around the trees, so it was practically guaranteed if MarineLorD didn't react. So really astute move there by VortiX.
Spearman upgrade now flying in here. Takes the fight before the upgrade finishes, and actually micros around this one. What month is it? What year is it? That looked like animation canceling micro, but that's not a thing.
No, that was just keeping your fingers warm, Nili. You know, you got to be warmed up for this one. VortiX is like, whoa, neither of us expected this series. All right, I've got to make sure my APM is at least 200 higher than MarineLorD before he wakes up, because usually he's the one we're talking about. This on-point micro seems to get caught a little bit off guard there. The question mark now is what VortiX is going to do with this. It is going to be the stone. I expected this. It's just, like, if you compare the two stone lines now, right? If you look at this one and look at the one at the back in MarineLorD's base, it's too far out. And to your point about outposts before, you don't feel good building an outpost here. You don't mind it when it's gold or stone or whatever, right? But why are you going out to a gold or like wood, rather? If it's stone, you feel bad, because when you go into those stone lines, your intent is to get a second TC, not to hang around long term. So any outpost investment feels like it's a very short term thing.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, it's basically for 300 stone. Then you're already investing 125 other resources plus the villager time. Now Knight's trying to fight this one off. And the big question mark, how is... Oh, now the heavy switch onto stone here at the front. So earlier town center to be expected from VortiX end.
It's going to be tight. He might just about get it quicker. MarineLorD pulled more people in the stone, right? But he's already lagging vastly behind. It should be maybe like a 20-second differential. Although that is going to matter for VortiX, considering he's already one villager up. And you can see he's shifting out aggressively for the second TC. Made an option by the fact that MarineLorD has already shown the spearman, right? So he's not going to be coming out to the midfield anytime soon.
Why is he building it? Or is it maybe a defensive town center at home and he's only going for
the ball?
What?
Yo.
But that's super exposed. Without any protection, instantly scouted? That shouldn't be a thing.
That's the problem right now. And also, the reason why civs that aren't the Roos don't like doing this is because... Oh, MarineLorD! The pull of the ball! Wait, the wolf... Wait, MarineLorD, calm down, buddy. That's too much. He's like, I am master of all wildlife. No, chill. But the reason why this is a bad play for VortiX, the reason why it works so well for the Roos, is you build a wooden fortress as a garrison point for 8 villages, right? When you do this as the French or any other civ, it's only 5, but you pull 8 villages for maximum efficiency on board, meaning you need to build 2 outposts, and those times are locked 45 seconds each. You're spending double the amount of time to build up the defenses that the Roos do. And that is too much time in this type of matchup.
Yeah, I think so as well. Lots of wood floating here by MarineLorD. Okay, now he's building his town center as well at the top. And Royal Knight's trying to find something. Town center should finish in time, though. Already up. And nice confirmation by MarineLorD, but not the raid that he wanted.
Yeah, and if he got confirmed as well, VortiX still has a scout at the back of MarineLorD's base, so he'll likely scout that out very soon. He should have seen him on the stone already, anticipating this. And MarineLorD did get a better valued TC, though. If you look at his, it's on top of deer. He's got berries nearby, stone, and it's next to a wood line. So overall, MarineLorD definitely won on the placement of these town centers.
Spearman defense here won't be enough. Well protected at that end. And you have to question, what's the better approach? The Spearman defense trying to save the villagers, but still losing the villagers, or even the cleaner build-up with more map control, now the walls and the faster town center. VortiX certainly came out ahead slightly in this early game.
Yeah, it feels like MarineLorD's read on the layout is a bit misconceived, right? I tend to like the spear build when you have a naturally defended point, right? Say, for example, you're in high view and your wood spawns behind you and you can create small palisade walls to wall yourself in. Spears are good. This generation, with where his tree lines are, he's incredibly exposed. I still think the spears were simply to defend the stone line, but VortiX manipulated this really well by not making it about the stone, right? Notice he hasn't dove once through where the stone is. He's gone around the east side and the west side with each of these raids.
Well, you just feel like a bit smarter if you go for the tricky moves. Sometimes it's actually pretty funny how the frontal attack is the one that might do most damage. Obviously, shorter line as well. That tower is actually nice protecting the wood line and the gold. One Royal Knight there for the defense. Now we're adding stables. Did MarineLorD just add 2 more stables?
I think he did.
Oh, this could be a Feudal Age all in.
Yeah, he wants to flood him. Right now, he's got 5 knights to the free. You can see the VortiX is letting up on the aggression because he wants to be greedy. And, you know, MarineLorD, he does now have the outpost down. This is the crime of the French players. They always do this. They react with outposts. They never do them preemptively, and that's why he's stunted them behind. Imagine if he had those outposts down at first. Imagine if he was pushing spears with the outposts. It might have stunted his second TC a little, but he would have lost less villagers and lost less production and Nico, right, via idle times.
Well, he's 1 ahead now after he just got 1 kill, so he has to be fine because those bridges are really exposed, trying to get to the other side. But that means more knights could come from that angle, and MarineLorD suddenly in quite some control. VortiX floating quite some wood and gold.
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like VortiX was prepping some sort of transition. I don't feel like he wanted to engage long-term Feudal here, but he might have had his hand forced here. He's trying to build up the defenses to hold in this area, but more reinforcements are going to arrive soon from MarineLorD. MarineLorD now being up to 5 knights, and VortiX still playing catch-up in that regard. And notice the switch-up now. MarineLorD isn't pushing additional knights. He's actually holding on for the moment to see what the reaction is out of VortiX first.
Yeah, and you also saw how Lidakor was searching like, what is VortiX doing? Like, check the base, check the right-hand side, check the bottom, check the left, and there were no real reactions by VortiX. He's trying to find the counter-attack at the top, but obviously those will be some losses, and that just looks real good for MarineLorD.
Oh, that might have been 2, actually, because he actually struck different villages there. Meanwhile, on the base, Knights still taking bad trades here up against MarineLorD. Still no transition. It is baffling to me. Like, VortiX has over 500 wood in reserve, and he's not putting down an archer range. He's actually not carrying out these spears at all, assuming that eventually MarineLorD will just stop sending them.
And it's funny how I spent Dark Age basically theory crafting on army compositions, right? And I was like, this is an option, this is an option, this is an option. And I did not mention the pure knights because they don't perform too well against knight spearmen.
No, and it's not even pure knights compared to MarineLorD. MarineLorD is still pushing more knights than VortiX. VortiX, he can't afford bad trades when he's pushing less like this. It's kind of perplexing to me. Like, VortiX is still over-booming on the wood and not using it in any meaningful way.
That just died there. Only 2 villager advantage for MarineLorD. He obviously puts on quite some resources on the map. Both players now floating quite some resources. I would assume that's because MarineLorD is thinking about going up to the next stage. Some more Royal Knights, those villagers are exposed. And so much idle time forced as well. Like, the resource income just so much better. And Knights coming in!
The wood line is just a freebie. It's a fiesta in VortiX's base, only he's not the one who organized it. But he is the one who's going to be doing the dancing as he dances to MarineLorD's tunes. And you can see the eco count now. MarineLorD only 2 ahead, but the point is how much idle time you keep being forced to engage with here, right? How many villages do you have to pull back off the wood line, the gold line, each and every time is MarineLorD. He's reaching that comfortable stage, right? 2 to 3 groups of knights dancing around his opponent's base.
Ooh, I like this from VortiX. It feels risky, but he is behind. He's on the back foot. He needs to make some moves, and those villagers unlikely to be found. If, like, MarineLorD's spider senses are absolutely on, he might think, okay, what are the good moves now for you? Where is your food income? And he might send a knight there, but that's, while playing the game, a crazy ask.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, even with this food gain, he's behind. Look what MarineLorD is doing. He's very calculated in this. He's been adding in a few extra knights, and it's deceitful to VortiX. Like, he sees the numbers and sees their neck and neck. But that's not true at all. MarineLorD has lost less knights, and thus has less of a burden on his eco for replacements, which means he's ready to go for a tech up. He's overwhelmed on the gold. It's just the food he's waiting on. And at that stage, he could easily overwhelm VortiX if he chooses to go in for a Royal Institute.
Oh, interesting choice. Feels so much safer.
Wait.
30C? Oh.
Yo.
Oh.
While going for a tech up as well. MarineLorD is being so greedy, but he can afford to be because VortiX is no longer setting the pace.
Is Marine not taking up? I think he's adding more knights, right?
No, he's adding
4
more
knights in the
knights.
queue.
Yeah, so he's doubled
30
down.
T. Interesting choice, though, right? We felt very likely that he was rather going to go for Castle Age.
I think this is a reaction to VortiX's knight count. He took a good fight in his own base. MarineLorD lost troops, so now has to replace, right? Like, the value in terms of teching up here is in how many knights you have in the field. Usually, most French players want 10 to 15 knights for it to be worthwhile. And I think that's why MarineLorD just chose to reinvest. He's also side investing because he's getting the farms online. So he'll have infinite food production in the back of his base. He should be able to afford a tech up in the next 2 minutes, but he has to be careful about these fights. You can see VortiX is baiting him into bad exchanges, which will kick his tech timing down the road.
And actually, that's so much to learn from MarineLorD here. If he goes Castle Age, he technically could have a lot of exposed villagers, right? But with another town center, another 10 villagers exposed, you won't fall behind, or you will even increase yourself in villager count. Interesting choice, something I would have never thought of, but if you really think about it, if you don't have the chance to fully wall your map, which is tricky with this layout, it makes so much sense to add a 30C. You don't necessarily even need to produce too many villagers out of it.
And realistically, he doesn't delay his tech time in that much, right? 2 minutes in this situation to contain midfield is worth it, especially considering you know VortiX won't be able to outboom you. Now VortiX is going to discover what's happening in this area. He saw the TC being built up. Well, he suspects it's 3 TCs, though. I think he did scout the one at the back, so he should know he's now an eco disadvantage. He needs to punish this. MarineLorD with a small defense force, because he's away from home trying to raid in, will block off reinforcements, but it does mean he's about to have a lot of idle time in his base and a lot of villagers being massacred here as he stacked too many on the 3rd TC expansion.
I think maximum of 10 villagers there could have made a lot of sense. Maybe sending 2-3 spearmen could have helped out with that defense as well. Knight's now trying to buy some time. And it feels like VortiX can still hold this one. Got quite some villager kills, and MarineLorD suddenly only 1 villager ahead.
Yeah, and the mistake made here by MarineLorD is like he got a bit gluttonous. The reason he has so many villagers out on that food line is because he was trying to rush castle now, right? He really was. It wasn't just his hand in the cookie jar. He had his face in the cookie jar. And VortiX, he catches him there, slaps him around the back of the head, takes his front teeth out as a result. And all of a sudden, although MarineLorD is making his way up, he's not doing so with a resounding eco lead, also militarily being more or less neck and neck with VortiX.
Oh, MarineLorD is going for Royal Institute. When you mentioned it, it felt so right, because everything was open, we had massive amount of knights and could go for some raids. Now you have to think, it's basically both players are going to be walled, will boom, we will see the long game. Then typically, Guildhall could be better. MarineLorD basically saying, I will build a massive army in Castle Age here.
So I think the way MarineLorD is trying to leverage this is because he went 3 TCs and he saw that VortiX didn't. He believes that he can actually eco boom quicker and then move out into the midfield of the map and essentially extract so much of the finite resources that Guildhall doesn't make a big enough difference, at least not until like 55 minutes plus. It's an interesting strategy, and I quite like it if MarineLorD plays into either an aggressive Red Palace or College of Artillery as well. Just anything to like one-up him when he reaches Imperial. But it's going to come down to these timings, and there's the first timing. Tech up complete. VortiX taking the fight at what seems like a reasonable time, but against Spearman, less so. And he's just going to have to run away, and this means MarineLorD can just give chase all the way across the map, having the numerical advantage, and while this is happening, he can prep the techs. You can already see Canted Saddles and the Veteran upgrade coming through for the Knights now.
Well, and those Knights, yeah, they got some kills against the Spearmen, can now heal up, so VortiX won't lose too much, but obviously he needs to get to Castle Age, already preparing the stone, nice comeback mechanic in a French mirror, but still quite some time away to ever get your keep up.
And the chase continues. MarineLorD will have to switch targets now in the outpost, but the heavy missile resistance, those won't bother him too much. Raw Bloodlines, a little bit too pricey, mind you. Cannon Saddles is an interesting choice, actually, from MarineLorD. I actually like it. We'll have to pause why, because it looks like there's a fight underway, forcing him away. VortiX, a little bit aggressive, surprising, considering he hasn't got his veteran status yet on those Knights. The reason, by the way, why he doesn't go for Bloodlines here is because Canted Saddles can't be noticed easily. Bloodlines can. He doesn't want to reveal that he's got Royal Institute yet.
Ooh, interesting approach. Yeah, could be a good reason. And maybe wait and give the opponent some false hopes. Now, It is coming in, though. And maybe wait for it and then go for the big fight. Still 80 seconds to go. So the timing should be roughly like 21:15. No, he takes the fight before that.
Yeah, that was all aggro. That was a bad fight right there. Another knight goes down. Torches on the outpost, and Raw Institute on the other side. So VortiX just now playing from behind in this situation, playing catch-up. However, his knight count is stronger than MarineLorD's. His villager count, definitely less so. Remember, it's still 3 TCs versus 2, and your pocket economy here is going to get sniped. Fight.
Well, let's see. The upgrade still taking
MarineLorD?
some time, but
He's
it
not
feels like
paying
MarineLorD is not really fighting.
Yeah, he wasn't looking. He'll pull back now. He doesn't want this fight. Remember, Raw Bloodlines takes quite a while to get through. Minute and a half, I believe. Minute 45, so you are waiting around a long time. And it looks like both of them are going to play in towards it. Of course, if they do engage, once both of them have it, the difference is that MarineLorD did get the canted saddles, so the initial charges will do more damage for him. But the count is not in his favor right now, which is why he's trying to buy more time.
Okay, now we have Abilitier now being mixed in like that. Also some Spearmen, but Abilitier obviously better for the long game army. Where is the keep going to be of VortiX? Did we have like 900 stone earlier? Bit surprised. Is that maybe for emplacements?
Possibly. I mean, they're both hoarding a lot of stone. I think they're playing towards sacred sites for keep drops now. It's beneficial as the French, as you can get yourself a proxy base with discounted units, right? Oh, nice little sneak in with one knight, but this is going to do too much damage. You can see now with the monastery play in mind, we start to think about relics. Relic positioning right now is favoring MarineLorD because he's already picking one up and pushing it in, right? So you should end up getting 3 of these because 2 of them are definitely safe for him. There is one near the boar expansion, but I don't think those outposts actually have any defense upgrades on them.
Oh, well, we have to see the stone somewhere. I thought I saw at least some on some players, yeah. And look at, but in that area?
It's the
Why?
Relic. It's the relic. It's literally because the relic. It's actually pretty interesting because if you think about it mathematically, it pays for itself, right? A monk costs 150 gold, and the Spring upgrade doesn't cost that much.
But can't you just put a knight there for a second?
Yeah, but he wants to use these aggressively, right? Like, it's just, if you think about it, as you scale towards pop cap, like, outposts are just extra infantry that don't cost pop cap, right? They're just extra military force that doesn't need it. And speaking of extra military force, VortiX with the clear number advantage. Arbitrary is moving in position, though. MarineLorD can turn this fight around. Meanwhile, Spears poking and prodding onto the keep builders. And they're spread out lines, holding VortiX at bay, and the Arbitrary is giving good trade overs. MarineLorD looking like he can easily take this fight, because the Arbiters are doing so much damage here. Count on both sides are depleting with the front lines, but the Arbor count always going up is going to force VortiX away. At the end of that, he massacres the front line of Knights, though.
Oh, and that's the beauty, right? If you have both units, one melee, one ranged, it's so much easier for you to have all the units fighting. And that was a bit of the problem there for VortiX. Lots of the Knights couldn't really join the party and therefore couldn't really use the full efficiency of his army, and minus 50 population now.
Yeah, a heavy hit there. VortiX, he did minimize the losses. It looked like he had some decent micro in targeting low Knights at least, and that little wraparound did save him 2 or 3 additional Knights, forcing the Arbors away. But now you can see the flood through. MarineLorD, he's splitting up to look for clues. VortiX, in the meantime, is trying to establish a foothold to hard siege in, and he's getting that siege. Siege Workshop dropped at the keep, right next to that expansion TC from MarineLorD. And now the ride-in. Villagers in a little bit of trouble.
Go
Does he
for it.
go for it? It's going to be too late. You'll never get that one off. Easy pickings as MarineLorD now just misses out on a nice gold
Next
trickle of
keep.
100.
Uh-oh.
Trying, but can't get it up. Defensive keep already in place from MarineLorD. MarineLorD with the walls to make sure the Knights cannot reach him. However, VortiX can just run away for the moment. Needs to be careful back at home as it looks MarineLorD is going to be sniping onto his own eco as he breaches through the palisade defenses, and another keep. VortiX, this guy, I mean, he's a Magano line enthusiast if I've ever seen one.
And what is that second keep really achieving, right? The left-hand side, I could see maybe he wanted to leapfrog a bit further to the top. And that second keep, if it even goes up, maybe blocks some of the gold behind. And yeah, there's not much gold to the right-hand side, only one major spot. So nice awareness. Left-hand side is actually the more important one.
And it's pretty cool because it sets up a staging point into MarineLorD's base because he built to the left side, right? He didn't build right. So it's actually mutually beneficial. You get 2 strikes out of 1 move. And now the strike from MarineLorD into the eco. He's looking to join on with a secondary force, but the walls are going to slow him down. Nice move there by VortiX, beginning to create a labyrinth to the left side of his base.
Double wall there. Interesting move. Now maybe try to take down the gate.
Oh.
Doesn't really know how to engage this one. Easy pick off here. And MarineLorD is fully set up for the long game. Right now even add some traps. Siege Workshop now being put down as well. Mangonels won't really find too much. And I think MarineLorD should start thinking about imping this.
Yeah, he's kind of in cruise mode at the moment. He's basically pop cap, so that's the next logical step for him. You can see the VortiX is nowhere near pop cap, and because he's gone for this double Mangonel, I feel like he's going to actually be compelled to try and breach the base and castle in the next 3 minutes. Meanwhile, MarineLorD is not going to leave that as an option. Like, these raid-ins are going to draw his attention, and every second he waits, the trades are going to look worse. Like, you can see it right now. The night count, it used to be VortiX always ahead, but now they're neck and neck. The difference maker, these Arbitraries, and with your Mangonels completely out of position, they're not able to instantly react to this raid by MarineLorD.
You know, in the set before this, I got angry at a person going for 140 villages in Imperial Age. Now we have MarineLorD, 155 villages already, and we are only in Castle Age. And that, yeah, you can see. Resources are heavily banking up.
So what you're saying, Nili, is you were angry at Wham because he stopped at 140. Gotcha. Fight underway.
I really like villagers. No Mangonel shots.
So do these knights. They won't be able to find them in their own base, though. The Mango shot, heavy damage done. Respect this unit. MarineLorD will go for the trade out, torture them down instantly, trying to make it worthwhile. He doesn't get the second one, just about finishes it off and wheels away. At the end of that, though, the weird part is the trade feels somewhat even when you consider that VortiX had about 30 villagers idle through that all.
Way too many there, but obviously tricky. Sometimes the gold spot runs out. You want to take the good engagement, and that Mangonel shot was just absolutely beautiful. Now a big mix of units here by MarineLorD, and finally going up to Imperial Age. I think he used the market there.
Yeah, he's racing up, but he's under siege right now. You can see the trebuchet starting to stack up for VortiX, keeping his defenses up as MarineLorD has counter-trebs coming back the other way. And also, Springel's now wheeling out. You need to be careful about this. The wrap around the Knights. MarineLorD, your horsey boy count is looking a little bit small there, son. We'll look to take the engagement regardless of that. Initial clash, not the best for him. Arbitrary is trying to make it a little bit better. Looks like it's still a trade in favor of MarineLorD. The keeps. MarineLorD's going down first. VortiX is not going to be far behind at this rate, though. As both of them do lose the keep, the question mark is what happens next. VortiX, still with the knight advantage, could push in, but he needs to be fast. He might get confirmation to do so, though, as MarineLorD is about to complete the tech up.
Okay, and we have so many resources in the bank, so can easily go for all the upgrades that he wants to. Obviously, Bloodlines already in there, so doesn't need to invest into that. Typically takes 700 gold early in period, something you sometimes don't have. Now the big engagement here shouldn't be a good one for VortiX. I'm a bit surprised that he wants to take this one.
Well, because he thinks that his opponent is weak right now, because he just teched up. He hasn't read it right, though. MarineLorD done this perfectly. He boomed his pop cap, he maxed out, he got reserves, and then he teched up. And now you're in a situation where this fight is going to be fairly one-sided, because although you'll fight out evenly with a few knights remaining, it's the question mark of what comes next. Look at VortiX's eco right now. No food, no gold, barely any knights being produced. You might kill a few villages, a few pieces of siege, but now you're a whole age behind MarineLorD.
And now you don't really have your raiding potential anymore, right? You're down to 15 knights, and that's so easy to clear up now for MarineLorD. He can just send some of his royal knights around, and the surprise effect is gone. So I think one major clash, yeah, maybe you decimated the numbers, but like, how are you buying yourself time now?
Oh no, the villager. Yeah, well, I don't know about time, Nili, but you have to buy yourself a lot more villages. VortiX hasn't even noticed yet. Oh, it's too late now. He commits to the torches.
Party! Party!
It's like, we're done here anyway. Screw it. Might as well take something with us. You take nothing. You get nothing. Good day, sir.
Lots of resources from MarineLorD from the bank, except gold. So nice that those villagers are actually forced to do something else. And MarineLorD, how is gold mines looking? Seems a bit underwhelming. Maybe that makes this fight even better than we thought.
That's because his miners have decided to become rebels right now. They're just murdering villages. But he's still going to recover. You can see his gold looks good. He's got 2 relics banked. And remember, he's got the gold hats now, right? He's in elite status on those knights. So the trade-outs aren't even going to be close anymore. He's still chasing them. You know what the best part about this is, Nili? I'm pretty sure he has less idle villages there than VortiX did. But VortiX doesn't fight. His villagers have not fought back once.
Feels like stepping in the back there. Okay, now one is fighting back, I believe. Or they're just
Yeah,
they're
he's
just
like
taking it.
He's just looking around, seeing everyone just get like shot in the head. He's like, what is going on here? Rebel! Viva la revolution! Oh, there's none of us left now.
Feels bad, man. So, nice defense there, but still, MarineLorD needed the gold as well. Now some outpost for better vision here, Bombard, and that's keep number 2 already under pressure, maybe even keep number 3 now getting fired at, indeed. And it just feels like VortiX trying to mass up one massive force here with all his knights and try to take one last stance in Castle Age.
Yeah, keep numero 2 going down, as VortiX does not know what to do in this one.
Third keep with 3 relics.
Oh, good lord! Like this is getting out of control. VortiX can't answer multiple raids. Like he's too locked into the center right now, and this trade is about to be one-sided. Jump in with the Knights. Arbitrary backup. Some of the VortiX still has not switched into. He rushes forward to try and get on top of the cannon. But he's going to lose the army for it, and the cannon already found its value. It took out 2 keeps in this area. Treb's being targeted out. VortiX about to lose his own siege. At the end of this trade, the army is just going to be gone. That's going to be the game called. MarineLorD with a tech-up advantage takes the win in the French mirror matchup.
What a nice performance. And MarineLorD is just an absolute beast with French mirror, something he has been dominating basically since the game came out and has proven it over and over again. This time with the interesting approach, early Spearman added to his Royal Knights, second TC a bit later, but then his first counterattack with his Spearmen and Knights somehow did massive amount of damage. VortiX tried to wall, but didn't wall in time.
Absolutely. And I think MarineLorD, like, if it didn't seem a little bit too arrogant, he'd probably rename himself the French Lord at this stage. But yeah, it has some other implications, him being a real-life Frenchman. He doesn't want to seem like too big-headed about it. But he really, I think you're right. He's kind of set in motion this idea for a long time that, like, he's the boogeyman on the French, right? He's always the player to beat with this specific civ. And he gives a pristine example of why. It should be pointed out that VortiX is no pushover with the French. Luciferon as well. Like, you know, and we've seen him beat both of them in a mirror matchup here in Golden League. That this guy is the French player to beat, and it's why a lot of players in the past have used it as a throwaway strategy, right? Where you bait him to pick French, and then you pick something lower value, or maybe a curveball type civ that might cheese your opponent in 15 minutes.
Yeah, maybe some counter picks could have been an option. Something like we felt like Delhi or Abbasid were performing pretty well against French at some point, but meta switches so quickly, and now we see French pass. A map that we have not seen for quite some time, because a lot of people felt it was a bit too campy, games were drawn out a bit too much. I'm personally a big fan of it. I think it's very interesting to figure out lots of different strategies, and we just had some changes on it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, French Pass, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like, what's the smaller mountain range, right? Because it went from kind of like French Pass to... I don't know. I haven't got a cute name this time, right? Give me a small mountain, Nili. What's a small mountain?